Hi there. Welcome to session number 4 of the Value of Quietude. In session number 3, we talked about silence, the good and the bad, the difference between solitude and silence, and loneliness and isolation. Boy, it's hard to get those words out sometimes. So anyway, today's topic is what quietude produces. And you might ask yourself, why do I need something so quiet? Why does it need to be quiet? What is the end product? What do I get if I spend time in quiet? I'm going to tell you from the scripture's point of view, from the Holy Bible. And I'm going to read some scripture to you, and then we can point out, see if you can figure out what the benefit is, what it produces as I'm reading. Psalm 62, 1 and 2 says, "My soul waits for God alone. For God alone my soul waits in silence. From him comes my salvation. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be greatly shaken." Wow, that's a good promise right there. I will not be greatly shaken. Psalm 62, 5 says, "My soul, wait in silence for God only, for my hope is from him." That's where I get my hope from. In John 14, it says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." I can't tell you how many times that verse comes up just in everyday life for me when things start to go wrong. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. That peace that comes from him just helps us to not be troubled. Now in Isaiah 32, it says that the effect of righteousness will be peace, and the result of righteousness, quietness and trust forever. My people will abide in peaceful habitation, in secure dwellings, and in quiet resting places. So that peaceful habitation, that's an element of quiet. Now this is personal. Not everybody's is going to be the same. Some people like their quietude in different ways. But if we take the time to find out what that way is for us, then in that quietude, we begin to hear and recognize his voice. That way, when all those other voices that we talked about, all those noises, that soundtrack of our lives comes in and tries to knock us off track, we can recognize which voice is his voice, which voice is our inside voice, our still small voice, the one that's going to lead us to the truth. Now, quietude is an inside job. If your insides are, pardon the expression, like a fart in a skillet, and they're shooting all over the place all the time, and then your hearing won't be clear. And the point of quietude, and the quietude exercise, is to calm your insides down. Now, a couple years ago in a conference, actually it's been 10 years ago, Graham Cook said something at a conference that I was at, and he said, what used to take 6 years will take 6 months, and then that will take 6 weeks, and then it will take 6 hours, and then it will only take 6 minutes. And I have found that to be so true. And then actually in November, we were at another conference, and a different speaker said pretty much the same thing, that if you practice, repetition, then these things will come much quicker. And I know that it used to take me a long time to quiet down my insides. Now, if I just sit down and do it, I can do it fairly quickly. So, the most important thing I want to tell you here is that your process isn't going to look like somebody else's. For the longest time, I wanted to do it like Sharon did it, or do it like Mary did it, or do my quiet, or do my Bible time, or do my quiet time, or all that stuff. I wanted to do it just like somebody else. But what I found is that I mess myself up when I compare myself with other people, because God made me, Deb, to be who I am. He made me a certain way. And so through process, I started to figure out who that was, and what that meant. So don't compare yourself or your quiet time to somebody else, because if you do, it's just going to cause you problems. I would say if you're comparing, stop it. Ask God, ask yourself, be quiet, sit with that question, and find out what it is that's going to do the best for you. Don't be afraid to be different. I've been a square peg in a round hole for most of my life, and only in the last 4 or 5 years have I become comfortable with that. And it's because this practice of quietude, I've been able to sit and listen. I've been able to listen to God. I've been able to listen to my insides. I've been able to determine what the truth is, what's been pushed on me as a lie to make me miserable, and what God really says. So these things take that quiet time. Lance Wallnau, who is someone that I follow consistently, says that his question is, how do I recalibrate my mind? So how do we recalibrate our mind to make it think differently, to make it calm down? Where do I begin? How do I proceed? And so on our next issue, our next session, number 5, the title is going to be Inside Job. So we're going to find out a few ways to make this recalibration in our brain. So thanks for joining me. I hope that this has been revelatory for you and that you've enjoyed it. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye now.